I kind of started with the idea of a little cottage, 2-bedroom cottage, and then the wet areas outside or nearby, and then another much smaller cottage at the back.
Yeah, I mean, we were lucky that we always knew the basic materials anyway, that there was going to be a Strawbale building. Tim and Anne-Marie had always wanted to, well, Anne-Marie in particular had dreamt about building and living in a Strawbale house. We've known a few, and also Tim and Anne-Marie lived in Witchcliffe, and so they had lots of local knowledge in terms of the climate and the prevailing winds. And I think the wind is a particular aspect of the building, a climate sensitive building in Witchcliffe, because it's kind of your friend, and it can also be something you don't want. And so the design we came up with fairly quickly, really, because it's sort of self built, and then it was more a question of materiality, and that was, again, we bounced off each other the whole way. It's pretty well all natural, non-toxic materials, lots of recycled materials. It's all breathable. It's Strawbale with breathable natural lime render inside and out, and natural timber. Recycled timber was for the joinery that we had milled, and then local plywood. It's almost all Australian materials, actually, very few imported materials.
The village supplies a lot of requirements about what you have to, the standards you have to achieve, like the star rating, life cycle of the building, all that sort of thing. So a lot of that's sort of predetermined. I suppose it's like, for us it was like turning that into a house that is really comfortable, because that's part of sustainability. And also you've got a thing which I hadn't thought about, is that we're not the only ones that are going to live here.
The houses that I design, I like to try to design them so I don't think about like master bedrooms or they're just private spaces that share common spaces, with the idea that over time the families change. The building, in order to be, it needs to be able to accommodate lots of different ways of functioning in it, and that aids in its sustainability, because then people aren't forever knocking them down and modifying them. And I guess I do have a theory or an ideology of sustainable building, that it should enhance the people who live in its understanding of the climate, and that you want to be comfortable inside, but you don't want to be excluded. It's not about living in a spaceship, or when it's hot outside, it shouldn't be wearing a jumper inside. You should know it's hot outside, be happy that you're inside, because it's not as hot out inside, but it doesn't mean that it should be 20 degrees.